Welcome to the Canarian International Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Mossy, and I am an alcoholic.
And my name is Mick, and I'm serving as a joint alcoholic secretary. Not joint, yeah. I'm a yes. Please join me in a moment's silence to remember the still suffering alcoholic, both inside and outside this meeting.
And Nadia, you're on the preamble. And
my name is Nadia, and I'm an alcoholic. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. AA has no dues or fees. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Thank you for letting me do service.
thank you, Nadia. And guys, today we have the pleasure of having John come join us today. An unlikely victim. Sean, you got 45 minutes. I'm really delighted you joined us today. You got me out of trouble again, so I take the credit for this good share today.
Thank you so much, Mossy. Good evening, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. My name is John, I'm an alcoholic, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here tonight to see you all. This is just a wee 1 week break away from the snow, the rain, and everything else in Scotland to try and come away. And probably there's a few questions hanging about a place like, why the hell has he got Hawaiian Island Sobriety stuck up in front of his name? Well, there's a wee story that'll become clear just as I go on, as I share. But come from Glasgow, just outside Glasgow at the moment, a wee village called Larkhall. And at the age of 14, 15, introduced to booze, and it gave me a lease of life that I thought wasn't possible for somebody that was quiet, somebody that had no pizzazz. It turned this wee quiet boy into what he believed was a rock star. You know, the opening of the shirt, the punch in the air, and the loud voice, and all the rest of it that came with it. It gave me a kind of a false identity when I drank. But the only problem with it didn't last that long. 18, 19, 20 years of age, I started to get into a hell of a lot of trouble, a heck of a lot of trouble with the police, family, business, work. It didn't matter what it was. If there was alcohol involved, there was trouble very, very quickly followed behind. And that set down a precedent that just carried on for the next few years until I got my last drink, which was at the age of 26, when I firmly believed that the world would be better without me. There was no need for me in this planet anymore. I would just drink myself to death, and that would be the end of it. That was the easiest way out, the easiest, softer way out for me, because I was too much of a coward to jump in the river. I didn't want to take tablets. I didn't want to cut my wrists. I didn't want to shoot myself because I couldn't find a gun anyway. And it was all of these things that were going through my head. I didn't drive at the time, so that was out. And decided the best way I could do that was get as much alcohol down my neck as often and as long as possible. And you can just imagine the disappointment most mornings when I woke up and I was still here. I was distraught. You know, why can I not just die? Why can I not just shuffle off this mortal coil? Because, as I say, every drink that I took led to more and more trouble, and there wasn't any way out of it. I tried a multitude of ways to stop drinking. I had to stop for 6 weeks, I stopped for 7 months, I stopped for 3 days. But my problem was I couldn't stay stopped. I didn't have the intelligence, the knowledge, or whatever you want, to be able to stay stopped. You know, it was all a good idea at the time. My problem was when I stopped drinking, started to heal a wee bit, started to feel a wee bit better, started to look a wee bit more normal, whatever normal is, and got to that place where people in the house, people at work, and everything else was starting to smile again, and you know things were kind of settling, and that was almost like somebody firing the starting pistol. That was a message for me to go and get rattled in again because everybody was happy. I was never that bad. I believed I was never that bad. Trust me, I was that bad and then some. What you need to do is get hold of my sponsor and ask him about my first step. I'll tell you how bad I was as far as that's concerned, you know. And I didn't even know I was that bad until I started to commit it to paper, until I started being what they call here completely honest, complete honesty. And that didn't happen the first time. My last drink, I ended up, I was working in a golf course. I'm a plumber heating engineer by trade, and I was working in a golf course, doing a renovation and turning a sports area into a bar and, you know, restaurant kind of thing. And round about midday, the wee chef came up and offered us a pint of lager. It was a beautiful day. It was the 12th of October. It was an absolutely stunning day. And boy, did I get my hands around that, and I threw it down my neck. And I was like a cat in a hot tin roof because I wasn't allowed a second one. We wouldn't get served, we wouldn't get anything. And where this golf course was in absolutely the middle of nowhere. I didn't drive, I had no access, I couldn't do anything. So I paced up and down for the rest of the day to the end of that shift. And my colleague took me home, or 3/4 of the way home, and I stopped off at a bar, went into a bar to have one. I'm just going to have another one, and then I'm going up the road. Needless to say, I had one there, left that bar because I was committed to only having one. Walked up the road and went into another bar, apparently for a box of matches because I smoked at the time. That was the only place you'll ever buy a box of matches in a bar. So I walked into that bar and saying to myself, you can't just walk into a bar and buy a box of matches. We'll just get a wee half a beer. And by the time I got to the bar, it was a glass of whiskey and a half. I threw the glass of whiskey down my throat and the shutters come down. It was blank. I had no idea where I was. The next thing I knew, I woke up again in another cell, lying on a concrete slab. No clue what I was in there for, what happened, or where the rest of the evening and the night went to. It could have been 3 days later for all I knew. I didn't know. And when I woke up in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, and the chap that was running, you know, looking after the cells, and was banging on the doors, and what am I in for? What's happening? Why am I here? And he came over and he said, that was a lovely wee guy that used to live in this community, and you know, you're for the high jump now, boy. And he walked away and left it at that. We'll see my alcoholic head. I was crying, there was stuff running out my nose. I was absolutely petrified. He put the fear of God into me, that guy. And come 6:30, they opened the cell door and let me out and said, we'll be in touch. We'll send your summons out, whatever. So whatever was going on or whatever was happening, I still didn't know to that point what had happened. And I was summoned to court about 6 months later. But on that morning, that's when I said to myself, I have had enough. I was very, very fortunate. The guy that was working with me was my foreman at work, wee plumber Willie. He had been chatting away to me for weeks. I thought we were telling stories. You know, he'd come in on a Monday morning, my head would be practically between my knees, absolutely dying, suffering, you know, oh my God, what a night, what a weekend, whatever it is. And He said, yeah, I used to live like that, and this happened to me, and I did this, and I did that. I had no idea he was sharing his experience, strength, and hope with us. I thought he was just telling me wee stories. And I was concurring with him. I was telling him, I did that as well, and I did this, that, and the other. Willie's been my sponsor for 43 years now. Absolutely an amazing, amazing character. He's over 50 years sober as we speak. And we speak periodically. We don't speak as much as we used to, but we speak periodically. And he took me to my very first meeting, which was a Tuesday night in a place called Castlemilk in Glasgow. It was a Tuesday night in Burlia Drive, and that was the 13th of October 1981. And we walked into that meeting, and we walked over, and I said, I had no clue, totally befuddled. I had no clue what I was walking into. I didn't know whether I was going to see doctors and nurses, psychiatrists. I didn't know whether I was going to walk into a place that had 100 people all standing with bits of string holding their clothes together. I had no clue. And up here, you know, this alcoholic tag meant something terrible to me. It was a badge of shame as far as I was concerned. And I walked into this meeting, and all I seen was about a dozen, maybe 14 people at that time, because we were a wee bit early. And they were all standing, drinking cups of coffee and laughing and joking and carrying on with one another. And I'm saying, where the hell have I come into here? What on earth? You know, I thought I was coming here to sort out my booze, and you've got all these clear-eyed characters talking and chatting away, and he just announced that this is John, this is his very first meeting at Alcoholics Anonymous, and he's here to try and get his problems sorted out. And within about 3 seconds, there was half a dozen people around me. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I still choke up every time I remember that particular moment in time. The simple reason being it had been a long time before anybody ever put their hand out and said welcome at any time, anywhere. I heard a lot of get out and stay away from that, and I've heard a lot of that stuff, but I've never heard welcome in such a long time. They told me lots of things at that time because I couldn't digest everything, but through time I got to know what it was all about. You know, stay away from that first drink. It's the first drink that gets you drunk. Do as many meetings as you can physically do in your first time here. It wasn't 90 days at that point. It was just get as many meetings under your belt as you can, because the more meetings you do, the easier this will become for you. And after a few weeks, I felt so much better. I attended at least 1, 2 meetings a day, every single day. I made it my life's work to be at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, because my whole character was beginning to change. The person that went into the rooms only a few months or whatever it was at that time just didn't exist anymore. There was an occasional thirst for alcohol, and seeing the boys out having their weekends and all that kind of stuff, and that wee twinge that I got at that time saying, oh, I miss all that, and didn't really miss it. It was just false. It was just false. So I kept going to meetings, and I did the very best I can. And I remember my very first bolt of lightning when I was practicing for the 3 months or whatever it was to read the Serenity Prayer. 4 lines, 4 lines, that's all it was. And I could not get it right. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things and the things, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that flew. And I took this wee Serenity card with me, as I call it, the one that had the preamble, the Serenity Prayer, the 12 steps and the 12 traditions on it. I took that everywhere, carried it around in my wallet, and I stood at bus stops and I read it out to myself, and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced till one day I stood up in a meeting and I had the card in my pocket and I said the Serenity Prayer from top to bottom. And boy, that was a revelation for me. That was absolutely amazing for me. The simplest thing on this earth that meant so much to me, you know, that was the start of me getting sober. When I found there was conventions, there was one particular convention that I had in mind, which was the Blue Bonnets, if anybody knows it, down in Dumfries. I always wanted to go to this Blue Bonnets because Willie, my sponsor, kept talking about it, and he was high as a kite when he spoke about it and all that kind of stuff. But my problem being is I come in a week after the Blue Bonnets, so I had a whole year to wait before I can get to my first convention, as it was. And I stayed sober and I did my meetings and I tried to put in a wee bit of service. I tried to do as best I could in that first year, and eventually it came to the Blue Bonnets and I went to that meeting. I can't remember, I think there's something like 1,500 to 2,000 people in the Lorburn Hall in Dumfries. 95% of them recovering alcoholics with some of their partners and what have you. And I've walked into this hall and I'm shaking. I've been there for a year, go to meetings, I managed to speak and do everything else that was going. And I walked into this big hall and I'm terrified with all of these people, all these sober alcoholics, and I could swear. And I almost turned around and said to somebody, where's the bar in here? Because these people are completely off their heads. They're singing and dancing and jumping up and having an absolute ball to themselves. And when they greet one another, you can hear a scream from one end of the hall to the other. Yo, Jimmy, I've not seen you for. And it was just all going on round about me, and I was soaking it all in. And I went up to the big tea bar right at the back of the hall and ordered a couple of cans of Coke for the guys that were all going there together. And I turned round. Here's another one of these moments, these blinding moments. And I nearly fell to my knees. I saw the biggest banner that I'd ever seen going right across the bottom of the hall. And it said, "You are no longer alone." That took its toll. I cried. I didn't know why. I had no clue why I was so emotional about this. It took me a wee while to understand that I'll never ever be alone again. Never, at any given time. I'm in the Canary Islands just now. I'm on my own. I'm not on my own. I've been on to about 5 or 6 meetings. I'm only here for a week. I've been here 4 days, and I'm not, probably this is my 6th meeting, I think. Hopefully, I'm going to try and get to one that I think's on tomorrow morning up near a bus garage or something. I'm going to try and get out there tomorrow tea time. I'm not sure when it is, but I'll find it. And I kept going. I thought at one time, maybe 3 years into my sobriety, is this it? Is this it? Stop drinking. I'm getting sober. I'm getting on with my life. I'm feeling a wee bit better. I'm turning up at these meetings. I'm sitting in with all these old fogies telling me why they used to drink and, why they don't drink today and all this kind of stuff. Is this my life for here on in? 3 years sober. I got disgruntled. I got a wee bit out of love with Alcoholics Anonymous. And I thought, I don't need as many meetings as I need to go to, I'll maybe cut them down a wee bit. I cut them down to 3, 2, 1. And then I went to my home group until the tea break and disappeared after the tea break. And my head went straight out the window. Drunk with the alcohol. Sobriety just wasn't there. My head was no longer my own. I cut off the people that I loved and helped me. I cut off my medicine and just let myself loose on the sea without any help. And I went completely round the twist. I found myself so disgruntled. I managed to get hold of my sponsor and I sat with him in his house. You probably identify with this when you go and see your sponsor and you go, "Oh my God, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, I better go up the road." And I've sat there and I've poured out everything to him, how I feel, what's going on. And he told me it was normal. That happens to some people. You know, you don't just come in and get this. You've got to keep working at it, and you've got to keep working at it every single day in life. And I was away with my wee resentment, saying I'm doing my best, and it's still no good enough. And I said, what do I do? I do what I always did. I'll run away. Geographical change. That's perfect for me. So I'll bugger off. I know what we'll do. I'll go from Glasgow to London. I'll go down to my sister's because my sister will take me in regardless. I'll have a bed and I'll have a wee weekend away and I'll have a breather and God knows what on. And that'll maybe set me straight again. And I jumped on that plane and I flew down to London and I got off and I'm standing in the airport and that discontent, irritable discontent, it's still rattling right through me. And I said, this isn't good enough. I need to go. I need to go. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I need to go. And I walked up to the wee ticket window and this wee lady must have thought, I've got a real nutcase sitting here. And I said to her, I need a ticket. She says, where to? And I says, what have you got? What's the quickest one out of here? And she says, well, I've got one going to Tel Aviv and I've got another one going to Zurich. I said, what one goes first? She says, where's your luggage? And I did that. 2 pair of pants, a vest, and probably a shirt of some kind. That was it, in a wee bag. Says, you can just carry it straight onto the plane. Zurich's a place for you. Here's your ticket. Off you go. And away I went. And that's the last I remember of that journey until I got to Zurich. The Zurich airport is huge. I'm standing in the middle of Zurich airport. The only way I can describe it is, see the wee child that's lost in the middle of Woolworths and its mammy's away at the other side of the shop. That's exactly the way I felt. Lost, completely lost. And I saw a wee sign up that said rooms, and I shot straight across there. I said, I'm going to need somewhere to stay tonight, and I booked a room. I booked a room in what I thought was just a wee standard bed and breakfast or whatever it was. It was a place called the Hotel Storken, which was on the banks of the Zurich Sea, and I paid an absolute fortune for it. It was a 5-star hotel. It was absolutely amazing. And I thought, I had no idea of the exchange rate, the Swiss francs and all that kind of stuff. I said, just give me that, anything at all. And I've landed in this room now. I've left Willie at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's midday in Switzerland. So that's 8 hours or so. I've left him. And I've picked up the phone. And I said, how are you doing? He says, how are you feeling this morning? It's not too bad. Wee bit rough, but still a bit confused and whatever. He says, that's no bother. We'll catch a meeting tonight and we'll do this, we'll do that. And I said, I'm terribly sorry, I can't. Don't you start. You know who your sponsor can be. We'll make suggestions. Don't you start. You're going to a meeting whether you like it or no. I said, I can't. He says, why not? I said, because I'm in Zurich. Now, this is when I know for a fact I'm absolutely an alcoholic. There's no denying it. I said to him, I'm terribly sorry to tell you this. When I landed in Zurich, I've come into this hotel and he says, I don't care what you doing in Germany. I said, I'm not in Germany. I said, I'm in Switzerland. I said, you don't know your geography. He just tore strips off me. And he said, hang on, give me your room number, give me your phone number, and let me know in 5-10 minutes what's going on. Okay, so just hang on in there. Put the phone down, and I mean, honestly, in the space of 15 minutes, the phone rang in my room, and it was my sponsor back on the line to me. And he says, if you give it 5 minutes, go down into the foyer of the hotel, there'll be two members of Alcoholics Anonymous standing there waiting to take you to a meeting. And I could not believe there was a bolt of lightning that I'd never, ever expected. And within the space of an hour, I was standing in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in a place called Kramerstrasse. And I knew it was a good meeting because there was a big pot of coffee on the go and there was smoke belting out the windows because you could smoke in meetings like that. You know, you can tell a meet where a meeting was in the days. And I get in there and I sat among these people. I didn't understand what the hell was being said, but I felt what was being said. I knew these people were my people. And there was a guy kind of looking puzzled at me sitting next to me, and he spoke to me, and I said, "I'm terribly sorry. I don't speak whatever it is, you know, whether it's French, German, whatever you're speaking. I don't." And he spoke to me in an American accent. He says, "Oh, English." I said, "I'm English." And that man sat and transcribed the meeting to me. Beside me, he was writing down what people were saying on a sheet of paper and just sliding it out to me every time somebody spoke. After that experience, Alcoholics Anonymous meant the world to me, and I swore I would never ever let it down again, ever. I would never give up on Alcoholics Anonymous. And if anybody needed me at any time, anywhere, I want my hand to be there. I want to be there, to physically be there. And for that day to this, I've been doing exactly that. No matter what comes up, I'll go to any length. You know, I don't care. Life's for living, and I believe I owe my life to Alcoholics Anonymous. These people in Switzerland came over to Glasgow. I went back to Switzerland a couple of times as well and stayed with them, and with a high old time. With a high old time. Lost track during the years, you know. Things happen. You don't keep in touch with everybody relentlessly, as I'd love to, you know, but things happen. You get on with life. Next time I'm just make my way through Alcoholics Anonymous. I've joined groups and I've been there maybe 10, 12 years at a time and moved on. And then COVID came along, and that was a punch in the nose, that one, COVID, when all the meetings shut down in Glasgow. And it was difficult, but we found a way. God gave us a way. He gave us Zoom. What a gift. What an absolute gift. I got onto Zoom. We started seven meetings. We had a meeting Monday to Friday, and there was four of us. Kept these meetings going all the way through COVID and what have you. And then when we got to the end of it, some of them started to drift back to live meetings and what have you. So we hadn't enough people to sort of keep the thing alive. So I went on to other meetings and joined other groups and been part of it. I found a wee group in Limerick called the Clinic Group in Limerick with Janet and Elaine and all of these guys. And I settled myself in there because they were a great crew. They were all off their head. They were completely stone bonkers. And I loved that. I just loved to carry on with them and all that kind of stuff. And I joined them. I actually run one of the groups on a Sunday night at 9:45. On a Sunday night, I run the 12 and 12 there. And I've been there for maybe 3-4 years. When I come back to sort of get stabilised in whatever groups I was in, I was probably a member of 3 or 4 groups at that point, and thought I had to sort of steady myself and settle down to something else. And I went to the Cumbernauld meeting on a Saturday night, which is a 3-speaker meeting. They all speak for about 20, 25 minutes each. There's 3 speakers or 3 separate speakers. And one of the speakers was from the Hawaiian Islands. And he sounded great. He sounded absolutely great. And I thought, you know something, I'm going to get his details. I'm going to head off to one of the meetings that they do over there. And that was maybe 3.5 years ago, maybe three and a bit years ago. And so I followed him across to the Hawaiian Islands meeting. And I sat there and I loved it. I loved it. It was so refreshing to see something that was exactly the same, only different. And I just thought, you know, this is a great meeting for me too. So I eventually joined their group as well. And I've run a couple of meetings for them as well. I do service. I do as much service as I can do in that particular group. But the big, huge bonus of that was they lived in Hawaii and I lived in Scotland. the people in Limerick lived in Ireland and I lived in Scotland. And things happened to me. I caught COVID and I ended up in hospital for 7 days. My wife at the time caught COVID exactly the same time, and they took her into the hospital as well. I get out after 7 days when they managed to keep her in, and they put her in an induced coma for 3.5 months. And it was Christmas before she came out the other end of the coma. I don't know who it was that came out that coma, but it certainly wasn't my wife. She hates me. She hated me with a vengeance. She didn't want to be with me. Just get out my life. Don't come near me. Bug it off. And that ended a 38-year marriage, along with all the various bits and pieces. And there's nothing I could do about it. See, when you say accept the things you can't change. And I couldn't change it. I couldn't, it was impossible. So I had to accept that we parted company. And the stress and everything else. I mean, if you can bear in mind, I'm going up and down to the hospital every single day, or as many days as I could out the week, to stand there for an hour, because you were only allowed a certain amount of time. 10 feet away from her, we couldn't even touch hands, there was no contact whatsoever. Just to see her there with this thing down her throat, keep her alive. The stress was absolutely unbearable. And then when the divorce and the separation and all of that came around, I was done. I was finished. I went to the doctors, and the doctor said, you need to get you into hospital. There's something not right with you. Get in and got me checked up. And they found it quite severe angina. And they took me in and they gave me a quadruple heart bypass. Threw me on the table and just did what they had to do and gave me life again. Gave me life again. That was incredible. And the reason I'm telling you most of this, and, it's no hard luck story, and it's no the worst thing that happened to me is, I'm not just giving you stories. These things all mean so much to me in my life. And all these various points that's come up in my life have meant so much to me. And not one time did I think a drink's going to cure this. My life's done. I'm just going to go and get bloated and to hell with the rest of it. I was given another opportunity. I woke up on a bed in a big room full of bright lights, stunning. I thought, I'm gone. I'm dead. And I'm lying there saying, I'm at peace. I don't know what other way to describe it. It was just all these bright lights round about me. I looked to the left of me and there was a wee nurse's station there. And exactly the same thing happened 3 times. Come out, a wee yahoo, went back in, come out, wee yahoo, went back in. And the clock wasn't moving. The clock moved sort of 5 minutes and went back the way again. And I thought, see, I'm a clever guy. I know what's happening. You can't fool me. I'm in this wee level here where they're just deciding whether it was bad enough to go down the way or good enough to go up the way. So I'm in the waiting room. I'm in God's waiting room where they find out where I'm going. But I cannot believe the peace that was on me. Eventually, I found out that I was actually alive, and it was probably the drugs that were making me think like that. So they wheeled me into a wee side room and got me sorted. But I swore I would make every single day the very, very best day that I could when I came for there. And after I get patched up and sorted out and felt a wee bit better, one of my first trips was over to Limerick for about 3 or 4 days. I met all the guys from Limerick and we had a wee party. I went over there for my 42nd birthday, I think it was. And we had a wee party. We did a couple of meetings together and we had a wee dinner out and stuff, and it was great. And I thought, if I can date in Ireland, I'll just date in Hawaii as well. And I did exactly that. I jumped on a plane, I flew out to Hawaii, and I met with the people that was there, and I stayed with some of them and had an absolute ball. I went back again last year, and I'm just about to go again. See a life beyond your wildest dreams. That phrase is just too small, too small. I thought life beyond my wildest dreams would have been able to wake up in a dry bed, knowing where I'd been the night before, knowing that I'm not waiting for a knock on the door for somebody to come and drag me out of the house, knowing that the person that's sitting here tonight is full of gratitude for every single thing that I've had out of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's how I know. I believe firmly that if I drop dead tomorrow, what a life I've led. What a fabulous life I've had. And that's all down to the people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. You gave me a chance, and I took that chance with both hands. With both hands, and hang on to it like grim death each and every single day. I give thanks at night time. I count my blessings in the morning. I say my prayers, and I try and be the best person that I can be in between. Other than that, anything I've done wrong today is down to my higher power, because I gave him the reins this morning. So if he's put me the wrong way, it's his fault, no mine. You know, I try and be the best I can be. And here's another bonus. I'm away in the corner of wherever the hell I am. I'm sitting with my wee laptop, and I'm meeting another wonderful bunch of people that I've probably never met. But I think I've met one or two of you before. It's absolutely amazing to be here. And here you go. Do you want to talk? Imagine asking an alcoholic if he wants to talk. God bless you. I'm so glad to be here and extremely grateful to be sober. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I really enjoyed that, man. Thanks for getting me out of bother number one, and thanks for sharing your story. You know, when you were speaking there towards the end, first of all, I got a lot of identification the whole way along. But when you were talking about your health, my health turned on me 6 years ago. And I was in hospital for about the 7th admission with 7 different consultants working on me in a short period of time, a matter of weeks. And it really hit me. And I was lying in bed, I was all on my own. My wife was in Galway, I was in the hospital in Tralee. And I was just feeling really down, and I thought, fuck it, is this going to be the end of it? And I was all miserable. And then this voice came in my head. And the voice said, "You miserable fucking bastard." And it said it twice to me. You've had 29 years of living, and most people never get the chance to do what I've done. And from that day to this again, I've kept a smile on my face every single day, I think. Because I don't know what's in store for me in the future. Well, I know what's in store for me in the future, unfortunately. Health-wise, I know, but I'm alive and kicking today. And I have 36 years sobriety behind me. Through the grace of God. You know, I love this old timers meeting. I learned so much from it. And I have a lot of fun with it. And I really enjoyed your story. And the beauty for me of this meeting is that we can record it. It's the only meeting that we actually record. And like we can listen back to the old timers. And you know, I had a lady speaking a while back. She was 69 years sober. And she finished up with one sentence at the end of it. And I've played that over and over and over and over again. It's just amazing what you'll hear when you want to hear. So John, I thank you. And at that, I'm going to hand you over, not to an old timer, but the old dinosaur of our group.
Thank you, Mossy. Thank you. John, fantastic. I've been up the, my name's Mick, and I am an alcoholic, and it is by the grace of God, this fellowship, that I don't need to take a drink today. I loved your journey. I was listening to it, and I was nodding, and yeah, I've done that. I've been there. And I came up to the Blue Bonnets. I really enjoyed it, you know. And you talk about, you know, you were in your drinking. I worked with people that drank far more than me. I worked in a brewery and they drank far more than me, but it didn't affect them like it affected me. And when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, I thought, you know, what is it all about? I couldn't understand it, not having a drink one day at a time. And I had to learn to do it, not take a drink an hour at a time. And those days turned to weeks, weeks to months, months to years. And the best thing I ever done was coming into Alcoholics Anonymous, because you people showed me how I could change, become a different person. You know, and I love the life you people have given me. You know, I do, you know, you spoke about when Zoom started, I got hooked on it. I'd done 8 meetings in one day and I thought, this isn't a balanced life, is it? And I had to force myself not to go to meetings on Zoom. And I do Zoom and live like yourself, and I love both types. Absolutely do. I love to see the newcomers come in and start getting well, you know, and they share about their pains, and it reminds me of how I used to be, you know, in the early sobriety. But gradually it balanced out. It all balanced out, and I have a wonderful life today. And I thank you very much, John.
Spencer is on the premises.
Thank you, Marcy. Thank you, Mick. And thank you, John, for a beautiful, very humble share. There was a story, actually, I will share this. There was a story when I was first in of this lady, and just like your story in Zurich, she was in an airport and she was, you know, she was just in total dismay in the airport and she didn't know how to settle herself up. And she just had this this thought to go over to the information desk, and she asked if anybody is a friend. They put a call out on the tannoy for anybody being a friend of Bill W. if they could go to gate 29. And she walked to gate 29 and there was 15 fellows waiting for her. Yeah, that is the power of AA. That is the power of AA. And that sends a shiver down me there. You know, instead I asked for a friend of Bill W. and I get this guy, look. Right, anyway, the AA promises. We can do this together, can't we, Mick? Right. If we're painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Baffle you, baffle me. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises?
We think not.
They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Work, work, work.
Thanks, Spencer. And thanks, I think Jane done the first one. All the co-hosts that got run over by the bus. And Jane, thanks for timekeeping today for me. And John, especially big thanks to you for a fantastic meeting.
Beautiful.
God that put you here for today, I think, with us. Just to remind you, you know, we are on here 7 mornings a week. Meeting, we open the room at 8 o'clock. The meeting starts 8:30 to 9:30. There's a step 11 meeting on Sunday morning. We've experienced Strength and Hope on that Thursday evening, and we've the old timers here every Sunday or every Saturday at 6 o'clock. If we haven't got old timers, we have authors from the big book come share with us. We have a nice mixture here. And that's it. Take over there, Mick.
Right. Stick around for fellowship after this meeting. If you want to use a breakout room after the meeting, please let us know. Yellow card.
Who you see here?
What you hear here,
When you leave here,
let it stay here.
chat will be enabled, guys, as we close the meeting with this friendly prayer with the mics open. And John, if you lead us out with this friendly prayer, and again, thanks for joining us.
John, alcoholic. You'd like to close the meeting with the serenity prayer using a God as you do or do not understand. God,
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 grant us the serenity
Thing that cannot change.
change.
Courage,
Please,
change,
Wisdom to know the difference.
Coming
Thanks,
back.
John. Fabulous
Thank
share.
you, John. Really beautiful.
so much, John.
thank you,
So
guys.
beautiful.
Thank you so much, everybody.
That
God
was
bless.
good.
thank you.